A toddler crawls toward the fire while something large moves beyond the darkness. Before the child can touch the flames, one adult pulls them back. Another feeds the fire, a third watches the grass. In a world without hospitals, locks, or emergency numbers, keeping one small human alive was a full group operation. Ancient childhood was dangerous. Infection, cold, hunger, accidents, predators, and childbirth itself could kill quickly. Many children never reached adulthood, yet enough survived for every generation to continue. Their parents did not possess modern medicine, but they had something humans had been building for a very long time: cooperation. The surprising answer is that ancient humans probably did not keep children alive through perfect parenting. They did it through shared parenting. A baby was not only the responsibility of one exhausted mother. Fathers, grandparents, siblings, relatives, and trusted companions could all become part of the child's safety system. The first defense was simple: keep the youngest children close. Human infants cannot cling to fur like baby apes, cannot walk soon after birth like young antelope, and cannot find their own food. They must be carried, held, watched, warmed, and fed for years. That helplessness made constant contact a survival tool. A caregiver could carry a baby against the chest, on the hip, or supported by height and fiber. From there, the child stayed warm, heard voices, watched adults work, and remained harder for a predator to seize unnoticed. Carrying also allowed the group to move when water, food, weather, or danger forced them to leave. At White Sands in New Mexico, Ice Age footprints preserve what researchers interpret as a long journey made by an adult or adolescent carrying a small child. The child seems to have been placed on the ground briefly, then picked up again. It is only one trackway, but it captures a familiar human act: carrying a tired child across danger. Food began with milk, breastfeeding supplying energy, water, immune protection, and comfort when no clean bottle or stored formula existed. Chemical signals preserved in ancient teeth can even reveal episodes of nursing and weaning. At Krems-Wachtberg in Austria, researchers identified breastfeeding signals in the teeth of Ice Age infants, but milk alone could not support a growing child forever. Adults had to turn difficult foods into something smaller mouths could manage. Cooked roots could be crushed, meat could be cut into tiny pieces. Nuts and seeds could be pounded. Soft marrow and fat delivered dense energy to a body growing faster than it could feed itself. Food sharing was therefore not a polite extra, it was childhood infrastructure. A successful hunter, shellfish collector, or plant gatherer could return with more than one person could eat. The group redistributed those calories toward nursing mothers, injured people, elders, and children who were still learning how to provide for themselves. Then came the second defense: more caregivers. Studies of present-day hunter-gatherer societies cannot be copied directly onto the deep past, because cultures differ and ancient people left no parenting manuals. That they show what human cooperative childcare can look like when families live and work in close groups. Among groups such as the Agta and Bayaka, infants and young children may receive care from many people besides their mothers. Another adult can answer a cry, an older child can distract a toddler. A father can hold the baby while food is prepared. Each small transfer of care gives the mother time to eat, rest, recover, or work. This network mattered because human children overlap. A mother might still be feeding one child while caring for an older child, then becoming pregnant again. One adult cannot gather food, protect a camp, maintain a fire, recover from birth, and watch several curious children every second. Shared care made the impossible schedule possible. Grandparents may have been especially valuable, not because every camp always had them, but because older people carried memory. They knew where water remained during drought, which plants caused sickness, how storms changed animal movement, and how to calm frightened children. Knowledge could protect a child as surely as a spear. Camp design also mattered. A sleeping place close to familiar adults reduced the chance that a child wander unnoticed. Fire provided warmth, light, smoke, and a visible center where people gathered. Tools and sharp flakes could be kept in working areas, while bedding and resting places formed safer zones inside the social space. Night was never completely quiet. Someone fed the embers, someone woke when a baby cried. Someone heard hyenas, lions, wolves, or unfamiliar footsteps beyond the light. Ancient humans did not eliminate danger. They created layers of attention so that one sleeping parent was not the only alarm system. Mobility could also reduce certain risks. A group that moved camp did not remain forever beside accumulating waste, spoiled food, insects, and depleted water. This did not make ancient camps clean by modern standards, and people still carried parasites. But choosing where to sleep, where to discard remains, and when to leave affected exposure. When a child became sick, there was no antibiotic waiting nearby. Survival often depended on basic support, warmth, rest, fluids when available, food when tolerated, and adults willing to remain close. A fever might pass, a wound might close. The crucial advantage was that a weak child did not need to protect or feed themselves alone. Care could continue after injury. A cut might be pressed, cleaned as well as conditions allowed, covered, and protected from further damage. A child with a painful leg could be carried. A youngster unable to gather food could still eat from the group's returns. Healing required time, and cooperation bought that time. The archaeological record also shows that children mattered emotionally. At Panga, Saidi in Kenya, a young child nicknamed Mtoto was carefully placed in a grave about 78,000 years ago, with evidence that the head had been supported. Dario cannot tell us exactly how the child was raised, but it reveals attention, effort, and loss. At Krems-Wachtberg, newborn twins and another infant received deliberate burials during the Ice Age. One twin appears to have survived for several weeks, and the grave was reopened. These children were not invisible background figures. Their short lives altered what adults did, where they returned, and how they treated the dead. Children were also active participants in their own survival. Archaeologists have found small footprints, hand marks, miniature objects, and stoneworking mistakes that may record young learners. At sites such as Le Rozel in France, many Neanderthal footprints were left by children and adolescents moving through the same landscape as adults. Learning often began through watching and play. Children copied digging, carrying, hunting, shelter building, food preparation, and tool use. A tiny spear thrown at a harmless target was not wasted time. It trained balance, aim, judgment, and confidence before failure carried adult consequences. Mixed-age play groups created another protective layer. Older children knew more than toddlers, but were still close enough to share games and movement. They could warn, guide, demonstrate, or fetch an adult. At the same time, mothers gained moments to work nearby without supervising every action directly. This did not mean children lived without freedom. In many foraging societies, children are allowed to explore early, but exploration happens inside a web of people, places, and expectations. They learn which fire is too hot, which water edge is dangerous, which animal track means leave, and which adult to run toward. The method was not to remove every risk. That would have been impossible. The method was to introduce danger gradually. A child first watched a sharp tool, then touched a small one, then practiced under nearby eyes. Skills developed before the child had to use them alone. Independence was built through supervised exposure. Still, ancient parenting was not a lost paradise. Children died from diseases adults could not understand, from malnutrition, accidents, violence, exposure, and infections that would be treatable today. Love and cooperation could improve the odds, but they could not guarantee survival. The past was full of both care and grief. The real achievement was not that ancient humans discovered one perfect trick. They stacked many imperfect protections together. Milk, carrying, shared food, warm bedding, fire, watchful adults, experienced elders, helpful siblings, played, teaching, mobility, and memory. Each layer was fragile. Together, they became a system. That system may be one reason human childhood became so long. A long childhood is expensive, but it creates time to build a large brain, master difficult tools, learn social rules, read landscapes, and absorb generations of knowledge. Children survived because the group invested in them, and the group survived because children learned enough to replace it. So return to that toddler beside the fire. The child does not survive because one parent never looks away. The child survives because many eyes notice, many hands respond, and many minds remember what danger looks like. The ancient secret was not raising children alone. It was never raising them alone. If you enjoyed this journey into the distant past, Subscribe for more stories about ancient humans and human evolution.